welcome to this edition of India Revival Mission on Times Network. I am Hina Gambhir. Today we are going to talk about production linked incentive scheme recently announced by the government and which is going to cost the government somewhere around 1.45 lakh crore rupees. It has been extended to 10 more sectors. The idea is to boost manufacturing, promote exports, and most importantly to make India part of the global supply chain. Some have called it a game changer, some say that this is over ambitious, and here over the next 30 minutes we are going to decode this scheme and what it means for the sectors that have now the benefit of the PLI scheme of Modi government. Joining us on the broadcast today is Professor Arun Kumar, who is a senior economist. We have with us Mr. Sumant Sinha, Chairman and MD Renew Power. Also Dr. A. Saktivel, Chairman, Apparel Export Promotion Council. Thank you very much all of you gentlemen for speaking with us here on Times Network. Professor Arun Kumar, let me begin this discussion with you. What is your point of view? PLI scheme now for 10 more sectors after seeing the success in mobile manufacturing, over ambitious or game changer?
So, it's something that probably is needed in India because our manufacturing sector has been suffering. It's not been doing so well. And we need to increase employment, and manufacturing is one way to increase employment. So having said that, the question arises that it's also part of the package for revival of the economy. Now, at the present moment, what is the problem? The problem is the investment rate in the economy has gone down substantially. It had peaked in 2012-13 at about 36%. Before the pandemic, it came down to 28%. It's fallen even further now. So how do you step up investment? So this can be said to be one way of boosting investment through some kind of incentive if you increase production, if you increase investment. But the real problem is that investment will rise only when demand rises. And today the country is faced by a massive demand shortfall, especially coming from the unorganized sector and from other sectors which are suffering, especially in the services sector, like airlines, like hotels, restaurants. So employment is down, and the CMIE data suggests that 20 million people from the salaried class have lost employment and 5 million from the professional class. So because demand is down, capacity utilization is low, therefore investment is not coming forth. Now, in such a situation, when you offer an incentive, that by itself is not going to be enough to boost investment. Second is that could it be that we can export more? And would that therefore mean that we can, get investment for export, whether from MNCs or from Indian investors? Even that is very doubtful, given that the world economy is suffering. Exports are not likely to do very well at this point of time. So in a sense, if the government had spare money, and this 1.5 lakh crore is over the next 5 years, we can say 30,000 crores now, and plus other things. So where should this 30,000 crores have been spent to boost demand? Because this is not going to increase investment or production immediately. So the stimulus that is needed is not going to come from here. This is a more long-term supply side thing rather than a demand thing. So if I had my money, and today there's a big shortfall because the fiscal deficit is already running at 115% of the annual target. So given that, we already are short of resources, states are short of resources, this money should have gone for employment generation in the unorganized sector and in various sectors which have been suffering, So that should have given more bang for the buck. So I think these kind of schemes should have come later once the economy had recovered.
Okay. Mr. Sumant Sinha, you are representing India Inc. on the panel today, and of course we will be talking about your sector specifically, but before that, what is your view on this scheme? Do you also believe that the issues raised by Professor Arun Kumar are valid?
No, I think Professor Arun Kumar is talking about sequencing the process. But I think taken by itself, you can't really fault the PLI scheme. I think it's a very good scheme. I think they're not looking at it on a short-term basis. This is a long-term strategic move on the part of the government to reposition India as a manufacturing hub for new age industries, for industries that are employment intensive. And I think therefore it should be looked at on that basis. That this is something that is meant to last for the next 5-7 years. And, I think the government has really identified some of the key issues that are preventing big investments happening on the manufacturing side. And they've tried to address it through the PLI scheme. If you look at, for example, the payout is going to happen over a period of time. They're looking at trying to encourage higher tech industries with higher efficiencies and so on. So I think it's done with an eye to the future. And I think in that sense, it's very positive because, look, you have to start on this issue at some point. Every year there is some reason not to do it. Every year our fiscal deficit is always higher than it should be. So every year there is a good reason not to do something like this. So I'm glad that despite it being a difficult time, the government has in some ways bitten the bullet and gone ahead with this plan. Keep also in mind one more thing, that all of these investments will actually take a long time to fructify. It's not like the payment is going to happen today or tomorrow. But, the scheme has now been announced. The details of the schemes will have to be looked at. That will take at least 3 to 6 months before those details are clarified. Then companies will start making their investment plans. Then they'll start making the investments. By the time all of that happens, it'll be at least a year to 2 years before even the first payout happens. So rather than wait for that another 2 years later and then announce it, I'm glad they've announced it now with a view to at least ensuring that 1 to 2 years later, there are some investments that begin to happen, because otherwise you spend this money, right now on short-term issues. 2 years later, then you run into a different problem. So I'm glad that they're thinking a little bit longer term in this matter.
Okay, very interesting. Interesting point of view there. Dr. Saktivel, what is your point of view? Because among the 10 sectors, now we have seen focus on the textile sector as well. 10,683 crores for textile products.
Actually, I welcome this scheme because they have identified a particular product for this scheme, that is man-made fiber garments. Actually, when you see our exports or domestic consumption, we use 85% of cotton for exports, whereas the world is the other way around. They export 85% of polyester and 15% of the cotton. So we were actually waiting for this kind of encouragement from the government, because we were not doing MMF garments in big way. So this particularly they have identified some 40 HS code for the MMF garment. Also, they want to encourage technical textile. They have identified about 10 HS code for the medical textiles. So all put together, 50 HS code has been identified for export as well as domestic manufacturing. See, we are have enough fiber and yarn for the man-made fiber garments, but we don't have a proper technology for the fabric. So this way that investment will come into India to strengthen the fabric sector, and also because of the incentive, then people of exporters and also domestic people will go for a big way into manufacturing of man-made fiber garment. So this is the one way that you should bring manufacture into the man-made fiber garments. And this scheme will, as earlier speaker was saying, we have to wait for the details. So once the detail comes, then we can discuss more about it. And how the scheme is going to implement it, then we have to tell the government. So some subtle ways we have to bring these details so that every apparel exporter as well as domestic manufacturer can be benefited.
Okay. Mr. Sumant Sinha, let's be more sector specific now. What is your opinion on the kind of money that has gone into solar PV modules, 4,500 crore rupees, and taking a cue from the way it was implemented for mobile manufacturing and a few other sectors in the medical devices segment? How do you think it can help the sector that you operate in?
Well, there are two sectors which we operate in which the government has given some allocation. So one is obviously solar photovoltaic cells, where the allocation is 4,600 crores. And the other is in battery manufacturing, advanced chemistry cell battery manufacturing, which is actually a larger amount of 18,000 crores. Of course, advanced batteries apply both to the mobility segment as well as to the utility scale storage segment. So to that extent, it's in between both of those. And the allocation there is actually 18,000 crores, so it's significantly more. Now, as far as the PV side is concerned, the manufacturing of PV cells is concerned, we have to see exactly what the fine print is as far as what kind of projects will qualify for this PLI incentive and exactly how that will work. I think the government is still not put its final decision on that. And so we're talking to them to see what the final intention is. But I think the bottom line is that any incentive that we can give right now is very critical, because if you look at solar manufacturing as an industry, we know that going forward, given the energy transition that we are in, we have to set up almost something like 300,000 megawatts of solar capacity in the next 10 to 12 years, which will require an investment of almost $200 billion just in solar capacity, of which at least $100 billion will be required in solar cells. Either we can import that or we can manufacture that domestically. And so therefore, I think clearly it makes sense for us to manufacture it domestically and not just then use it domestically, but also export it, given the size of the industry that we'll have. So we need to develop at least a 20 to 30,000 megawatt domestic manufacturing industry on a year-on-year basis. Today, the capacity that we have is only about 3,000 in cells and about 10,000 in modules. So there's a lot of capacity that needs to be added. Now, 4,600 crores is something, but if you ask me, most likely it's not sufficient to really incentivize domestic manufacturing alone. We need to have a proper duty protection mechanism as well, so that we prevent imports from coming in. Otherwise, there is that element that will always happen, and that therefore investments will not really happen as the government would like it to happen. So I think it has to be a combination of just the PLI scheme, non-tariff barriers as well as tariff barriers to prevent imports from happening and create an island Indian market, which can then see a lot of investments happening on the manufacturing side, just given the size of the domestic capacity in solar photovoltaics.
Let's go across to Professor Arun Kumar as well. Professor Kumar, now, according to you, what could be the challenges in front of the government to implement this scheme and to meet the objective, really, of this particular scheme from the 10 sectors that are there right now? Because, in the past, we've seen for mobile manufacturing, it has proven to be a big success, but that was a different kind of a sector. You've heard from representatives of two sectors here, textile, and at the same time solar photovoltaic module. So what is your point of view? What could be the challenges really for India in implementing this particular scheme at this point in time?
So, if you go by the earlier PLI scheme for electronics, cell phones and other things, there you had to increase your output and your investment above the 2019-20 level. Now, if you have to do that, in a situation where the economy is depressed and the RBI says that the decline in the economy will be at least 10%, So if that is the situation, then the output is already down now, and to raise that to over what it was last year would prove to be very difficult for all sectors. I'm told textile sector already has, running at 70% of last year. So how do you raise it over last year's level? That would become a big problem. Second is that the budget figures are completely going wrong, because the budget was drafted with a 10% nominal increase, and that 10% nominal increase would have meant that the economy would go from 204 lakh crore to 225 lakh crore. Instead, the RBI says that the economy will decline by 10%. That means it will go down to 184 lakh crore. So you have a 40 lakh crore gap in the economy, and you are trying to boost that through the Atmanirbhar Bharat 1, 2, and 3 schemes. So you have to boost demand. Now, the demand boost that is coming through all these 3 schemes is only about 3 lakh crores. So how would 3 lakh crores fulfill the gap of 40 lakh crores that's already there in the budget, and in the GDP? So therefore, you needed to spend the money immediately to boost demand so as to meet this 40 lakh crore gap. If you, as my fellow panelists have said, that this scheme will be implemented over the next 1 or 2 years. That means no expenditure out of this will take place this year. And if no expenses is going to take place, then where would that boost come from? So in a sense, it's very good. We should encourage technology. We should encourage, increased production. But we have to see the current situation. In the current situation, will something like PLI, which is what works for the electronics, which works for, say, the mobile phone. And mobile phone, let us say, the demand had increased because people are working from home. People needed it for education. So there you could see that it would increase. But in many other sectors, that's not going to happen. And therefore, my suggestion would be that let us sequence things properly. Let us boost demand so that the rate of growth of the economy goes up, rate of investment in the economy goes up, and then do these things. And some sectors may benefit, but we have to look at the overall economy first, because if the overall economy doesn't do well, the employment doesn't
Okay.
go up, then there'll be a crisis.
Now, I have one last question for each one of you. Let's begin with Dr. Saktivel. Should there be some kind of a sunset clause with schemes like PLI? Because it just can't go on forever.
See, the sunset clause is not necessary. Once you encourage the exporters to come in with the man-made fiber garments, definitely then the people will start looking for the more product and more market for this segment, and it will increase. Then after 5 years or 6 years, we'll have establish our own factories and units and the technology. We don't need a sunset clause. This itself, after 5-6 years, we can able to stand within our strength. Moreover, now is the up time, because if you see the export of garments, in September we are about 11% plus, in October we are about 7% plus. So the world is have a sentiment towards India, positive sentiment towards India. So it's up time that the government is introducing this scheme for us. So we welcome this, and we are very sure that with some details from the industry, this scheme will be successful.
Okay. Mr. Sumant Sinha, what's your point of view, your closing comment?
My closing comment is that, look, I think it's a terrific scheme. I think the government is taking, as I said earlier, the long view, the strategic view of trying to encourage manufacturing in India in different sectors which are critical to the economy. They are also making a clear statement here that we are going to encourage people that are moving out, that are looking for other manufacturing destinations other than China. When there is a rebalancing of the supply chain happening, we are really showing up and saying, look, we want to be the alternative to other countries, and therefore choose us. And I think, therefore, there is not just the benefit, the actual benefit that is going, but also the signaling that is happening along with this. And I think the sequencing and all of those things, look, these are not mutually exclusive things. Everything else can happen in parallel as well. So I think, saying that this should have happened a little bit later, it's kind of splitting hairs a little bit.
Okay. Professor Arun Kumar, on the issue of sunset clause, closing comment.
So, Japan used to have something called 1:4 ratio, that if you invested, then, 4 times that much would be also given as support. So that was given a sunset clause of 5 years, because they said, the industry has to become, competitive by 5 years. So here also, one of the things that is being said in the document for electronics is that scale economies will take place, that you'll grow much bigger than what you are today, because you'll have, a benefit of, a protection as well as, incentive. So here also, if the scale economies are there, if the size increases, then industry should become competitive, and this should not be needed. So just like for electronics, there's 5 years, here also 5 years would be a good thing. Second thing is, would foreign investment come in any big way at the moment? Look at the pandemic. What the pandemic has done is it has meant that every country realizes that long supply chains are not very good. So Mr. Trump has been telling American capital to come back to America. Europeans are asking European capital to come back to Europe. And Japanese are supporting some of the industries to go to Southeast Asia. They've gone to Vietnam, etc., but not come to India, because here we've had certain kind of problems. And this, the PLI scheme is supposed to take care of that, basically. That's what the electronics thing says. But my suspicion is there's de-globalization that's going to happen, because jobs are going to be affected very badly, both in America and Europe. So I think they'll encourage their industries to come back to their countries, shorten the supply chains. So therefore, I'm not very hopeful. But I think what needs to be done is that Indian investment has to be boosted. Indian investment is 95% of the total investment. Foreign investment is only 5%. So we should focus on the 95% going up, not thinking that this 5% could go up, even though that may be needed in technology sectors.
All right. I think we've covered all points of view here. Some believe that it's going to be a big success. Some call it terrific. But of course, there are certain concerns as well that remain. We'll, of course, now be looking forward to the fine print, what exactly the government has in mind as far as these 10 sectors are concerned. Thank you very much, all of you gentlemen, for joining us on India Revival Mission.